Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to the Spiritual Roundtable right here at Star Nations Organization's main fan page at Facebook. Yeah, and today's Sunday. Sunday is June. What's the date today? June the 23rd. I haven't looked at the calendar in a couple of days. So, hello, everybody. I'm so glad you can join me this afternoon, this evening, wherever you're at. Here in Tomah, Wisconsin, where I live, and I'm broadcasting from Star Nations Organization's Academy, and it's raining. It's been raining since about mid-morning or so, and I have to say, it's kind of nice. It's one of those gentle rains, that you can hear it on the roof, and it's either really, really good for taking a nap or maybe reading a book or something. Um, yeah, it wasn't, but we really, really need it. We really need it. And so I'm kind of glad that it's not this huge downpour, deluge kind of rain where it'd wash a lot of things out. Yeah, we need it pretty badly. It hasn't rained in about a week and a half, maybe almost 2 weeks. And so I know the farmers are really having a tough time. We were out driving around yesterday, and I'll tell you where we went and what we were doing in just a second. But I noticed the cornfields, the corn's not very tall at all. And usually, there's an old saying, knee high at the 4th of July, and the 4th of July is like in 2 weeks. They're gonna need some real big help with that because there's no way. I don't think that those little plants are going to make it to knee high in 2 weeks. But Grandmother Earth, she knows what she's doing. So maybe they'll make it. Who knows? So anyway, Paul and I, we were took part of the afternoon yesterday. I wasn't online much yesterday, which goes some for me because 99% of what I do is all on the internet. But anyway, yesterday afternoon, we went to go check out a couple of campgrounds that are, within 30, 45 minutes or so from our home, because we're looking for campgrounds where we can take the RV when we get a weekend off. And so we went to go check out a couple of them. And the two we went to go check out, they had like no cell service at all, which is kind of nice. I mean, if you're going to get away and you want someplace quiet, no cell service is probably a good thing. Except that I have to be in contact with the caregivers for my mom. So yeah. So we're going to continue to look. There must be a way, though. I could probably use a hotspot or something on my phone and still be able to be in contact with them. So anyway, we went driving around looking at campgrounds yesterday and found a couple. Yeah, very interesting world out there in the world of camping. It's a whole new world for me. So today's cards were very interesting indeed, and I can't wait to get to them. But before we do that, before we get too far down the road, I'm going to use my phone, and I'm going to connect with my news feed. I learned something the other day on Friday. Friday and Saturday are really meant for all about publishing, Star Nations publishing, right? And so I was listening to a training regarding the digital publishing. And one of the things I found out, they were talking about Facebook and promotions, right? One of the things I found out that I wasn't aware of, and maybe you guys are, but I wasn't. You know how we're always asking for you guys to like and share and stuff? From what I understand, Facebook doesn't like that kind of language anymore. And they will not necessarily promote your page as much if you use those phrases too often. And so I'm going, So, I don't know how much of that is true, but I'm willing to kind of test it out a bit and see what happens, right? And so I'm going to send this live stream over to my newsfeed without mentioning certain words and see what happens, right? And so I was thinking, what can we call it? What can we call it that's maybe use the word sprinkle. That's what I was thinking about. You know, how you can, use a watering can to sprinkle plants. You can sprinkle fairy dust and that kind of stuff, So I'm going to start using, at least for the next couple of shows, I'm going to use the word sprinkle. So if you wouldn't mind helping me to test this out and sprinkle either your news feed or maybe you have a friend or so that you'd like to send this live stream over as a sprinkle, maybe like cupcakes. You get sprinkles on cupcakes and snow cones, right? I mean, ice cream cones. I don't eat ice cream. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sprinkle it over to my newsfeed. The things we do to test things out. All right, so I'm just going to let my friends know that I'm sprinkling and letting them know that they're welcome. They're welcome to come over and join us. Okay. There we go. And then we're just going to post that. And I just thought of something. I know. Well, if you guys can help me come up with a better word, I'm open to it, right? I'm open to it. And I know that Stephanie isn't in the house today because her son kind of needs her right now. And so she was telling me that she was feeling, kind of split because she really wanted to be here to help out. And I said, you know what? Ben needs you. We can handle this end. We got it, right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sprinkle it over to the live stream, over to the Academy, and also to the network's closed group. So it's just going to take me just another second here. We're going to go over to a group, and we're going to do the network. And so I'm going to do a little sprinkling over there too. Oh my gosh. And we're going to see if they can join us. Come over and play. Right? Okay, there's that one. And then I gotta sprinkle it over to the Academy too. So hang on just a minute. We're gonna going over and sprinkling at the Academy. And asking him to come over and play. There we go. Like I said, I'm willing to test it out and see how much of that is true, right? Yeah. And why not? It's not going to hurt anything. And if you guys can think of a different term to use, like I said, I'm open to it. Just let me know what we can use, right? Julie's here. Hello, Julie. She's good. Always good to see you in the chat. And I just saw your messenger message come sitting there, so I'm going to read that after the show. Hey, Margaret's here. Hello, Margaret. It's good to see you in the chat. It's good to have you back. Rochelle's here too. Hello, Rochelle. I sprinkled today. We should do that as a hashtag, right? And Maria says, sprinkled. Well, yeah, like I said, if we can think of a better word to use, that'd be great too. Rochelle says, sprinkling. Why not, right? Why not? Oh, it's really, really pouring out now. Can't hear it on this roof. So anyway, we were busy yesterday, visiting campgrounds and that sort of thing, looking for possible campsites. So when we do get a weekend off, we'll be able to test them out, right? Yeah. And so for those of you who have been asking about how my mom is doing, here's a little update on mom. She's actually doing pretty well. She was, it took her a few days to um, bounce back from her birthday attention. Yeah. Um, when it's one-on-one, she does really well. When it's a small group, maybe two people, it's not too bad. But get more than three people, and it takes a lot out of her. And she was really tired for a few days after her birthday. And I want to say it probably took her a good week just to kind of get back into her usual, pace and flow and that sort of thing. So basically, she's about the same. Pain level is the same. Um, yeah, she's probably more concerned about not being able to do a craft kind of project, and hasn't done one in months and months and months. I want to say we're probably heading towards 6 months now. Um, Yeah, it's her hands. Her hands aren't as strong as they were, and so they get tired really easy. And she doesn't like it when she starts making mistakes, and she gets herself all worked up. Well, she is a perfectionist, and so yeah. So she's been doing other things like word find and crossword puzzles and watching movies and that kind of thing. I gave her something to read yesterday that I found online. I was doing some research for one of my shows last week. It was about the Blue Road, right? And in my research for that show, I ran across a study coming out of Manitoba, Canada, from an anthropologist about Native American religions, and they happened to mention the dream drum there. And they called it something different though. What was it called? Dream dance or something like that. And so I printed it out and for my own archive kind of situations, and so I lent it to her to read. She did not like what this lady wrote and was very opinionated about it. Let's put it that way. Very strong opinion about it. So so that led into actually a really interesting conversation with her about my grandfather's religion and what she remembers of it um, and that sort of thing. So it's not that I haven't heard some of those stories before. I have, but she was very very lively about it, which I haven't seen in months. That level of interest and liveliness. So that was kind of good. You might say it got her blood up a bit. And she had enough to say about anthropologists too. Rob says, hello, late, can't stay, but hello. Hello, Rob. Good to always see you in the house, even if it's just for a little bit, just to pop in and say hi. Rochelle says, it's sunny and beautiful here, about 75. It's, I don't know, probably around 68 degrees or so. It's not cold out by any stretch, but it's damp. It's damp. Yeah. And like I said, I don't mind the rain at all because we really, really need it. Hey, Pat's here too. Hello, Pat. Pat, I meant to tell you, I really like your profile image that you're using. I saw that yesterday and thought, holy smokes, that's pretty good. I saw it last night, actually. Um, you haven't talked to me much lately. Not at all, practically. All the conversation we had was it late yesterday afternoon? Yesterday afternoon, I don't remember. Yeah, Rob's helping me out with something for the magazine this coming month in July. We're just starting the creative process for the July issue of Star Nations magazine, and one of the topics that is available to us as contributing writers is sunsets. And because I love sunsets, I really, really do. And so that's my topic for my editorial. And I was looking for like a YouTube video or something like that to add to what I'm writing about, right? And I couldn't find one I really liked. Most of them had music to it, and it's not; those aren't bad. I just couldn't find one that jumped out and grabbed me, kind of thing, right? And then I saw one of Rob's posts on Facebook, and he had very short recording, a video of a Michigan sunset on Lake Huron, right? And that's it. I knew that was it. And so, because you could hear the water coming in, and watching the sunset. It's beautiful. And some of you guys may have seen it. So I contacted Rob to see if he wouldn't mind if I used that clip in my editorial, and he said yes. So we were figuring out how he could send it to me. So I like it. Thank you so much, Rob. I really do appreciate it. So Rob says yes, but that wasn't going to get anyone riled. I was trying not to use the word riled, because like I said, my mom, and she's always been this way. She has always had. I told her she would make if she had a career to choose, and she could experience life differently in her youth. I said she would have made a really great investigative reporter. I really do believe so. And because she really likes digging into something and finding out the facts, and yeah. But she gets very riled up about some things. Don't talk to her about immigration. Holy smokes. It's scorching when she gets into that topic. Rob says that one was sort of did, but the guy playing guitar by the fire was always the way. Yeah. Yeah. So thank you, Rob, for sharing that recording with me. It's really nice. Okay, so what I want to do is, for those people who may not be familiar with the Spiritual Roundtable live stream show that we're doing, is that about a year ago in May, I started doing live streams around the card draw, divination card draw that I do in the morning. I had been sharing it on our Instagram account, quotes from those card draws. And I got this nudge from my spiritual team, this bright idea, right, to do live streams around the card draw. And so we started doing that a year ago in May. And so here we are over a year later. And yeah, and the card draw, the intention for the card draw, and I've been doing this for years, it's really helpful, especially when you're first starting out on your spiritual journey in a conscious way, right? Is to find out what is the most important energy flowing that day that you should be aware of, that will help you with your soul growth, your spiritual journey, right? For the highest good, of course, right? And so that's what we do. That's what I do in the morning is I draw the cards, and on the live stream show in the afternoon, we have a conversation about it. I share the information about it. We talk about it. This part is the part that I enjoy the most, and that is the conversation that is had between the people in the chat room and with me. So it really is a conversation about the cards and the information and about spirit. We've had some pretty good conversations, wouldn't you say, guys, around many of the cards that have been drawn this past year. And so this is the deck that we're currently using, and it's called the Spirit of the Wheel meditation deck, and it's by author Linda Iwashina, and the illustrator is Jody Bergsman. I think that's her name. Yeah. No. Bergsma. Jody Bergsma. The copyright on this deck is 2006. And it's given us a lot of good things to talk about, wouldn't you say? Since we started it, I think it was like around May 5th or so, something like that. So if you're watching the recorded show, thank you very much for being here too. And we enjoy that you would also, we're using the word sprinkle, the live stream with your friends and and maybe somebody who's been looking for the information, or a spiritual community, right? Spiritual community. That's what Star Nation's community is all about. All right, so here's the very first card that came this morning. And it's called Long Snow's Moon. Long Snow's Moon. It's about contemplation, messages, and deliberation. Yeah. Can see swans, right? Yeah. Long Snow's Moon. It's number 27 stone placement in the medicine wheel that Linda Iwashina uses. And the numerology on that is a 9, which is about completion, right? And if you were born in Long Snow's Moon, you would actually be a Sagittarius. Sagittarius. Yep. Born between November 22nd and December 21st. That's the Long Snow's Moon. Very interesting, isn't it? It's about contemplation, messages, and deliberation. So, just even thinking about those months, November and December, right? November, it's just starting to get cold and snowy, and December, we're it's cold, it's snowy, and you're spending a lot more time indoors because of the cold, right? Those of us who live in northern states, we just dress for the weather, right? Yeah. And depending on the snow and how deep it is, sometimes, we are snowed in and we do have to stay indoors a little bit more often. But even on the medicine wheel, we're talking about the cross quarters here, the crosswinds. This is right around the winter solstice time, right? And we have the opportunity of the energy of the medicine wheel in those months to tap into the energy of change, right? Change. And so leading up to that winter solstice, where we are letting go of things and bringing in new energy, right? What do we want to create in the coming year, right? And so sometimes it is beneficial to take some time to go into the quiet, to really sense, feel, or see what you'd like to create in the coming year, right? So that's where that contemplation part comes in, right? And that's where we talk about deliberation. To take the time and really deliberate over, do I want this or do I want that? How do I want my year to go next year? What would I like to bring in, right? How do I want it to feel? And just to take a little time to sit with it for a bit before you do your ceremony, before you really set the intention, right? Yeah, so that's what this card's energy is all about. Now, Linda, the author, says that the long snow's moon brings a time of quiet contemplation. It is a time to open up your mind and see beyond the ordinary, to journey into other worlds and connect with the divine, where a message of importance waits for you. This message will help you along the path to the mystery void. Revel in the feeling of inner peace that comes from entering the silence. So really, it's about making the time, taking the time to go into meditation, to be quiet, right? Sometimes it's hard for us industrial humans to do, us industrial two-leggeds to do, is to go into the quiet. The Onondaga Nation, which is part of the Iroquois Nation, the Haudenosaunee, out on the East Coast, the Onondaga call that going into the silence. Going into the silence. Yeah. And in that silence, when we're quiet, that's when we can hear the messages coming from spirit, from our spiritual team, from the creator, is that we can sense, feel, see those messages that come in, right? Because many times, we're so dang busy that that our mind is so busy that it doesn't hear sometimes, doesn't see sometimes the messages that are coming through. Yeah. And so what this card is saying is let's take a little time. Let's take a little time to go into the quiet. Yeah. And if your heart's desire is to have to do some sort of creation, to bring something into the physical world, a manifestation, right? Is to be able to have ask your spiritual team about it, right? And then listen to what they have to say before actually setting the intention. So it's kind of like gathering research, gathering information, right? Yeah. And the one sentence that really jumped out at me was revel in the feeling of inner peace that comes from entering the silence. To journey into other worlds and connect with the divine where a message of importance waits for you. Yeah. She also goes on to say, when approached with a loving mind, and things that you thought as a burden can become a blessing. When approached with a loving mind, things that you thought of as burdens can become blessings. Yeah, have you ever done that? Where you're feeling the burden of something, right? And praying about it, asking, can you show me a way to be able to do this where it feels better? If it's meant for me to do, help me find a way that I can do it with more joy, right? Yeah. I don't know why, but it made me think of something this morning. And it's going to sound a little strange, but it prompted a memory. Back in the day, in my late 20s, mid 20s, to help pay for my college education, I was working at McDonald's. And I had worked at McDonald's when I was in high school. Yeah. And so it was a place that I knew. I knew the training, I knew the mission and the vision and that sort of thing. Yeah. So there is a part of the duties that, oh my God, not that again kind of chore, right? But we had to take turns mopping the eating area. Okay, you sweep and then you mop. And you usually work in pairs. Somebody sweeps, somebody mops, right? The mopping part was not one of my favorite things to do. Not. And so I remember then sitting there thinking about it one morning, thinking, I got to get through this piece. And I can't get out of it. It's not like you can kind of skip over it, right? When it's your rotation, the managers know. And so what I ended up doing was tapping into my spiritual team and asking them, show me a way that I can actually do this, do it well, and do it with some joy, because it's not something I really want to do, but I have to do it, right? And so when it came to be my turn um, to do the mopping, what I would do with the mop and the sudsy water and stuff is that I would do I would create these little patterns, spirals, the sign of infinity, that kind of stuff. And so the person that I was partnered with to do that, she says, "What are you doing?" And I'm saying, "I know it takes me a bit longer to do the floor this way, but come on, this is so much more fun than trying to do it, this just straight mopping." And it wasn't until years and years later that I realized that, and it was fun, that especially with the sign of infinity, what I was doing energetically in the eating area of the restaurant was embedding it with joy and using the sign of infinity to do that embedding. It wasn't like I went in and was doing a ceremony, right? A conscious ceremony. But it was all about having fun and feeling the joy with it rather than the burden of it, right? But that's what jumped into my mind this morning when I was thinking about what this card was saying. So how many people have ever had to do that? Had to find a way to be able to find some joy, to enjoy a task that you have to do, but you don't really find it fun, right? That it's more of a burden. And I also remember it was in my evaluation, the annual, and I was talking to the manager about it, and I got along with the managers. I didn't treat them like, I treated them like they were good human beings, and I had a good relationship with them. Did I always agree about everything with them? No, but I had a good relationship with them, and they asked me about what about the job that I didn't enjoy and how could we improve and that kind of thing. And so I was telling them what I did with the mopping, and the head manager was looking at me. He goes, "I would have never guessed that you didn't like that part of your job, because you always had such you always have such a good attitude about it." And I said, "That's only because I'm trying to have some fun with it. It's not something that I really enjoy doing." Who does, right? Who does? So anyway, that was the memory that popped in with me, and I'm sure that you guys, some of you in the live chat can relate to it. Um, yeah, something like that. I'm going to check the chat room here. Rob is saying that one sort of did, but I read that one. We were talking about the sunset. He said, "I stepped outside of the Wi-Fi and the video froze. Now I'm 10 minutes behind the broadcast." Oh no. That's time travel, isn't it? Aren't we doing time travel then? So the long snow's moon is all about, oops, lost my page. Hang on. Long snow's moon, 27. Here we go. All right. So the long snow's moon, the energy is all about contemplation, messages, and deliberation. So it's about going into the quiet, listening to the messages. We ask for help from our spiritual team, right? And we wait for them to deliver what we've just asked for. How many people actually stop and get quiet enough to listen to what they have to say? It can make life a little bit easier if we do that. Yeah, I'm going to turn the page here. It says the messages you receive from Spirit now feel like long lost pieces of a puzzle coming together. The gift of the long snow's moon is a slower pace that allows you to weed out the trivial details and recognize what is truly important. Now, isn't that those two sentences? The messages you receive from Spirit now feel like long lost pieces of a puzzle coming together. And you know that feeling, right? It's like connecting the dots and standing back and looking at, oh, look at that. It's all about blah, 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 right? Or it looks like whatever picture it is. Yeah. And that's always a good feeling, isn't it? When you realize what the puzzle is, when you get to a solution, or those pieces do come together, or it comes together enough. Maybe you don't have 100% of the pieces, but you have enough of them to really to understand what the message is all about. And that next sentence, the gift of the long snow's moon is a slower pace that allows you to weed out the trivial details and recognize what is truly important. Because, our life, man, does it move fast, doesn't it? Before you know it, the month starts, and before you know it, you're in the last week. And it's like, how did that happen? How did it go by so quickly? Well, it just moves so quickly, so fast, that we have to be really, really conscious to slow down, to take those moments, right? Yeah, to take those moments. What was it the other day? I said something like, we're going to take a drink of water anyway, or have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. Why not go sit in your favorite place to sit and just to slow down just a little bit, right? And do a short, you don't even have to call it meditation, It's just some deep breaths and just get connected to Grandmother Earth and just to slow down just a little bit. Yeah. And the prayer for this card is really good too. This author, she includes a prayer with each card. And this is the prayer for Long Snow's Moon. She says, Great Spirit, help me to enter the silence and slow down the pace of my life so that I may begin to recognize the beauty of simplicity and in turn approach things in a much healthier and enjoyable way. So basically, we're asking Spirit to help us to learn how to slow down and to appreciate what's around us. Yeah. We got a crow calling right now. He's pretty loud. That must be Marie's crow outside that she saw while she was here. Yeah. So just to be able to slow down, just a bit, to be able to hear, see, feel your spiritual team and listen to the information that they may have for you. What messages are they delivering? Things that we've asked about to get their help with, their assistance, and to be able just to slow down just a bit, to really take in what they're saying to us, showing us, but also just to notice what's going on around us, right? The simplicity, the quiet, taking it in just for a moment. I see that a good friend of ours, Anne, is also in the house. And I know that summer is a very busy time of year for Anne. She owns a campground in northeastern Wisconsin. And and it's so beautiful out there where she lives. But just even taking a moment just to appreciate that beauty, right? The different shades of green. Maybe the the laughter, the children's laughter, just a moment, just to take the moment, just to appreciate that and to take it in. And I'm sure that each one of us has something that we could turn our attention to, right? How many people have gardens that are blooming right now, right? Yeah. Just to take that a little bit of that time. And I believe that this card, Long Snow's Moon, is telling us, Spirit is saying it's just to take a moment, to contemplate, listen, go into the silence and listen for a moment. Listen to what your spiritual team is trying to tell you, trying to show you, and then to appreciate what's going on around you. It's just a moment, and we all have that, right? Yeah. And here's the second card. The second card that is here to back up the first one. And this is Butterfly Clan. Butterfly Clan. Don't you just like that picture? And it's all about mental clarity, awakening, and beauty. Butterfly Clan. It's number 8, the 8th stone in the creation of the medicine wheel. On its side, right? It's the sign of infinity. Yeah, it's about the balance of giving and receiving. And the author talks about the Butterfly Clan represents an awakening or breaking free of some restriction within your life. You have recently gone through a difficult period, but now you've emerged from the cocoon, leaving the darkness behind you. On a soul level, you have chosen to follow beauty, just as the butterfly is drawn to the flower. What an incredible transformation you have made. Be proud of yourself for having the courage to take flight. Your senses and aesthetics are heightened as you fly toward the light. Beauty will be found in places you never imagined as the gentle patterns of life unfold before you. The Butterfly Clan draws you away from confusion and uncertainty and leads you toward mental clarity. With clear insight and peace of mind, you can now take flight with exalted joy. To recognize beauty around us, we must first recognize the beauty that lies within. This awakening is Butterfly's gift to you. Yeah. So if we take in the message of the Butterfly Clan, because isn't that, just that message alone is really makes you feel good, doesn't it? And come on, how many people feel joyful when they see a butterfly? Any kind of butterfly. They kind of grab your attention, don't they? My most favorite, I've got so many favorites. Of course, there's monarch. But I like the yellow swallowtail. And I also like the blue. What's the blue one's name? The blue. They're kind of rare. Gosh, I forget the name now. Julie, Shumway Hill, help me. She's always good at this stuff. Oh, crap. I can't remember the name of them. It's blue something or other because they're gorgeous. Butterfly Clan. The Butterfly Clan message is all about mental clarity. And that it's saying that, we've just emerged from something pretty transformational. And last week it was all about the change that is right here, right now, right? That transformation. And so it's possible that what Spirit is telling us is through the Long Snow's Moon card and the Butterfly Clan is that we were also talking about integration, right? That is to slow down, contemplate, listen to the messages, and we can receive mental clarity through that. Yeah. And we can also appreciate the beauty around us. And that the butterfly clan is saying that we have the opportunity to be able to do that. We can fly toward the light, right? It says to recognize beauty around us, we must first recognize the beauty that lies within. This awakening is butterfly's gift to you. So when we take the time to slow down, as in the long snows moon card, and we take time to contemplate, right? And to listen to the messages. Going into the silence is really going within. And so we have this really good opportunity to recognize and to acknowledge our inner beauty, right? Yeah. Slow down and take that in. And here's the prayer for the butterfly. It says, as I transform from the darkness to the light, I can now see the beauty that is around me and within me. I naturally move towards the things that bring my heart great joy, and I help others along the way to discover their own inner beauty. That's a pretty good message for today, I think. You know, and what better day to do that on, right? Is on a Sunday afternoon, or Sunday early evening for those over in England. Is to take that message in and be reminded that in the integration time is that it's a good time to slow down. It's a good time to be contemplative, to listen to what our spiritual team has to say to us, to go into the silence, to go within, and to acknowledge and recognize our inner beauty. Yeah, I like that a lot. Rochelle is saying, I saw a huge bright yellow butterfly about 2 hours ago and I smiled. I know what you mean, Rochelle. Any butterfly, but certain ones always catch my attention, right? But see a butterfly and it's like, oh, look, a butterfly. And you have to smile, right? It brings out the joy that's inside us. And we're fascinated by them, aren't we? Because right now everybody is very focused on the monarchs, because they're some of them are going into the cocoon stage, the chrysalis stage. Yeah, and some of them, you're seeing the big fat green worms, that turn into the monarch. A lot of people are talking about the milkweed that monarchs use to form their chrysalis, and something for the newly butterfly to eat. Yeah. So I think this message today, the long snows moon and the butterfly clan, has a lot to say about how we need to just slow down a little bit and listen to what Spirit has to say to us, right? How we're going through that integration time. How to go into the silence, which means going within. And so that we can recognize, acknowledge our own beauty within, and then we see our world much more beautiful, right? Inside and out. There's so many of us that have worked really diligently and very consciously on our soul growth. We've taken the steps to do our own healing work, right? Healing our traumas, knowing what to let go and what to keep. And we've been very diligent about it. Some of us for a really long time. And I think Spirit has been telling us this whole past week, and now we're headed into this new week, that we've accomplished a great deal and that we've changed a great deal. Through all that healing work that we've done, we're not the same being that we were, the human being, a year ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, a decade ago. We're not the same. Our vibration is not the same. How can you do that kind of deep work in a conscious way and not change, right? And I think our spiritual teams are telling us that we've done a lot. And now please just take a little time to integrate all of that. Be kind to ourselves, right? Slow the pace down a bit. Listen to what they have to say about the integration and what the next steps are. Because we're still here, that means we're still going through soul growth, right? So what's the next journey? What's the next quest? Where do we go from here? We're not necessarily moving into that next step, but we are gaining and understanding the wisdom of everything that we've just accomplished, right? So that going within, we get to sense that and feel how we are different, and yet remembering what our true vibration is like. Yeah, when it's not all covered with debris. Yeah, so feel good about all the work that you guys have done, that we've all done, right? And to take it easy just for a little bit as we do the integration, as we embrace and understand the wisdom that we've gained from all of that. Yeah. And so, enjoy the butterfly clan, right? And the long snows moon as we kind of go into the silence, go into the silence, going within. Yeah. Yeah, there's a term. Actually, it's more of an accounting term. It talks about realization, right? You don't realize the gain, right, until you actually take the currency out. You don't really realize the net income until you actually take the proceeds and put it into your bank account. Yeah. So this is sort of the same, the realization, to realize how much work you've done and the wisdom that you've gained from all of that. And I know that some of you, the big changes that came through, I'm just remembering some of the comments from the chat room. I think it was Rob that was saying that that you had decided to join the Druids Order, right? That's a huge decision and a good one too. Or Tina deciding that she was going to begin offering her gifts of healing to her community on the reservation that she lives on, and that's big too, and bringing those gifts out and using them in her community. So there's lots of good things that are happening, and in order for those to happen, there was some healing that had to happen, right? There's some of that clearing off the debris in order to be able to make those kind of decisions for yourself. It's good stuff. Yeah, it really is. So looking at the time, we're near the top of the hour. So, as I usually say almost every time we have a live stream, is that if anything resonated with you with our conversation today, is to embrace it, right? Whether it was just one word or a phrase or maybe the whole thing, whatever it is to embrace it and to watch, sense, feel, see how the energy today is unfolding around you and where this information could be helpful to you. Yeah. And if it didn't resonate, don't worry about it. It's okay. It's all right. There's always tomorrow or the next day's cards, right? When something will fall into place for you too. Yeah, it's good. And so what's coming up this week? We have a few shows, live stream shows that are, gotta get my notes up, that are coming. This is the last week of the month, and so we have, of course, Polly Jo LeBay, her chakra sessions live stream that's on Tuesdays at noon Eastern time. She's going to be talking about managing Earth's turbulent energy. Yeah. She says, many of us are feeling the effects of the Earth's turbulent energy as Grandmother Earth shifts, changes, and expands to her new fuller vibration. And so how do we navigate these shifts, right? And so that's what her show is about on Tuesday at noon. And of course, there's the spiritual roundtable. It's on at 3 p.m. Eastern time. And then on Tuesday night, on June 25th, is my weekly evening show called Communications from Home. And it's the last Tuesday of the month, which means that we're going to be doing the Unity Breath Guided Meditation. And that meditation is all about love, raising your frequency to love, and connecting to Grandmother Earth and Grandfather Sky, right? And so it's one of my favorite meditations to do. I do it quite often. And so we get to share it together on Tuesday night. That's at 8 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern is Soul Connections with Polly Jo LeBay. And that's all about divine healing and divine messages. The first half is the healing meditation, guided meditation. And the second half is Polly Jo does a card draw. So if you enjoy that, she can do a mini reading for you. That's on Wednesday night, June 26th at 7 p.m. And Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern is Angel Therapy with Maureen Mann. And Maureen is talking about chakra balancing with the archangels. So we're going to find out about the archangels and how they assist us with our chakra system. And so she says that she'll call on various archangels to balance the energy centers of your body, restoring your physical, emotional, and mental health. But she also includes the second half of her show. She also does card readings for us using archangel cards. And so if you like that with the archangels, you can join her at 4 p.m. Eastern. And then we have the elders coming out to see us on Thursday night, the 27th, at 8 p.m. Eastern, is Living in Two Worlds. It's a relatively new show. It's a renamed show, I should say, from the Mystery School to Living in Two Worlds. The co-hosts are Ortrin and Carl Franklin and myself. And we're going to be talking about becoming one with our spiritual family. That is Carl and Ortrin's term for the spiritual team. That's what I call them. And so that's what we're going to be sharing about is on Thursday night, is becoming one with our spiritual family. I hope you guys can join us. It's going to be a good one. All right. And the other thing that I wanted to mention to you, and that is Star Nations Academy. I don't talk about the Academy very much on this particular show, but I wanted to share with you a couple of things that are coming up. We got a couple of classes that are coming up that you might be interested in August on the 17th here in Toma, in Wisconsin. I'm teaching a drum making workshop. We're going to be making sacred hand drums. It's all about ceremony, and it's all about, the drum. The drum is really meaningful to me. It's one of the medicines that I picked up many, many years ago. I've been connected to the drum since I was just a small child. And so sharing all of that with you in the process as you create a sacred drum. That's on August 17th here in Toma, Wisconsin. We start, I think it's at 10 a.m. and we go until about 5. Okay, and that's the next thing that's coming up in September, the weekend of the 27th, is a spiritual artistry with the teacher, Christine Pollock. And it's about using oil pastels and creating a picture. She's going to help us create a picture about a deer. I know. And you don't have to know anything about drawing. That's just the thing, right? And she's going to be sharing with us about what it's like to create a drawing using our spiritual talents, our spiritual gifts. Yeah, should be a good one. And then October, the weekend of the 12th, that Polly Joe's back from Massachusetts. She's coming in again, and we're going to be doing Awakening to Your True Potential. That's the second class that she's doing. Actually, it's more than a class. It's a healing weekend. And so that's in October. Those things are coming up. And the other thing that I cannot wait for is we're going to be doing online classes through the Academy. We're going to be getting those started this fall. So watch for the promotions and watch for which classes are going to be offered first. Okay. We're very excited about this piece. I know our community has been asking for this for some time. And I'm just in a position to be able to spend more time with it, to really get it created and stabilized, right? And so watch for that in the fall for classes coming up that you guys can join us online, right? Yeah, good ones. All right, so enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and we'll see you back here tomorrow for the Spiritual Roundtable at 3 p.m. Eastern, okay? Bamamina. That means in Potawatomi, until we see each other again. Love you guys.